Can you speak to the importance of self-reflection and continuous personal development in being an effective leader? I think it is paramount. I think you have to have the ability to uh, self-reflect. I think you have to have the ability to detach enough to look at yourself objectively. I think you have to. Um, One of my default modes is to always think that it's me first, right? Not in the sense of like me first, I get paid first or whatever. I mean, like if someone's upset, I always think about like, what did I do? What did I say? How can I change the things that I just did first and foremost? Usually, if you go through that little, rundown, you can see where the emotion might be falling first. It's in, if you're trying hard, you can see that it sometimes it's on the other person, and then you can just practice a little empathy and see how you can deal with it without it coming to like name calling. You know, um, I think it's very important. So whatever you need to do to block out time or, read books, find mentors, listen to audiobooks, listen to podcasts, read blog posts, whatever it is, you have to find time for it. Um, continual, continual personal development. I'm a big believer in the concept of Kaizen, right? 1% every day. It's on the blog post. I mean, it's on the podcast tagline. A little bit every day goes a long way. 1% effort over 365 days. That's a lot. You know what I mean? That can get you going where you need to go. A lot of times in my coaching, I tell people that most people they overestimate what they can do in a week, but they underestimate what they can do in a year. You know, um, that's so true. So true. I think it's extremely important. You have to continuously work on yourself. Um, how do you approach decision making as a leader, especially when facing conflicting opinions or uncertain outcomes? I'm going to say it again, and I don't mean to sound like Jocko, but detachment. You have to practice that. Okay. That is one of the most humbling things you can do, is to be able to detach yourself, put other people's emotions and opinions first in terms of looking at the situation. Um, it will help guide you in such a positive way. I can't tell you how many times I've made poor decisions as a business owner and leader, and it's because I've led with emotion first. Right now, sometimes you have like if sometimes it's a good thing. It's a good thing sometimes. Sometimes, most of the time, I would say it's not. You have to be able to detach yourself, your emotions, your opinions from a situation. Okay. That's how I first approach anything, is I just try to detach a little bit. Here's an exercise. Um, write it down. You've probably heard this before, but if something's bothering you or you're trying to make a decision, rarely do you have to make a decision in the moment, right? Like a self-defense situation, maybe you do, but even then, we can discuss how you should have had sort of like, a little loop in your mind to approach that thing before you were in that situation to know what you were going to do. Different podcast. But here's an example of what you can do. So write it down. Like, write it all down. I mean, if you don't want to write, you can, like, literally on your iPhone, you can record an audio note. I've done that before. And talk just like I'm talking now. Like, just go. You can write it. I think the phone will actually convert it to text. Anyway, write it down. Write down what it is, your objections or your support, and then what you think you should do or what you think you shouldn't do. Just write it down. Wait 24, 48 hours, like whatever you can afford yourself the time of wait, and then read it again. How do you feel? I can't tell you how many times I've done that where someone has been bugging the shit out of me with something they said or did, or they're forcing me to make a decision or asking me to do something I don't want to do or whatever. And I've just written down my response to them. I've literally written a response to someone, or an email to someone, or like a message or some whatever. And then I read it and I'm like, that was a little heated. That was a little emotional, a little too emotional. They actually have a point. I could see where they're coming from because I've just given it time. A lot of your problems can be solved with a good night's sleep. I believe that. So that's something I use. That's a tool I use to detach. Okay. There's an email service called Future Me. And you can write yourself an email in the future. You can write yourself an email and then tell it when to send you in the future. Um, and I use that, like I use that all the time. I'll write myself a note about someone or something or some project or whatever. And it could be a simple note of like, hey, how's this thing going? When you wrote this email on date, blah, 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 you were feeling this way. How do you feel now? I've done that a lot and it really helps sort of keep you, keep you on the path.